Donald Trump has responded to the New York Post. 2 days in a row, the New York Post had covers that were very critical of Donald Trump and definitely propped up Ron DeSantis. First cover said Ron DeSantis is the future. Second cover basically called Trump Trumpty Dumpty and accused him of being a massive failure. Had an op-ed within the issue that was vicious toward Trump. Now Trump is responding to the New York Post and also is putting out statements about Ron DeSanctimonious. He's still using the nickname. So let's start with the Post. What did he say in response to that op-ed and that cover? The New York Post today has a story about the wall, but my progress on the wall was slowed down by News Corp board member Paul Ryan, who together with the broken old crow Mitch McConnell weren't able to get me the funds. I ended up getting them anyway. After 2.5 years of lawsuits through another source and completed the wall plus certain additions that were made, which could have been done in 3 weeks. But so anyway, whatever, a bunch of excuses for why he didn't actually succeed in building the wall, which is hilarious because the op-ed was mostly about the fact that Trump chose flawed Republican candidates who failed in the midterms. And he refuses to take any responsibility for the way he has hurt the Republican Party. That's what it was really about. But I like that he got baited into this talk about the wall.
Yeah, not only that. So I'm gonna read you the first sentence. There's another statement he put out earlier today, which I think is even crazier, which I'll get to in a second. But the beginning of this statement is News Corp, which is Fox, the Wall Street Journal, and the no longer great New York Post.
No longer great.
Yeah, is all in for Governor Ron DeSanctimonious, an average Republican governor with great public relations. Oh, no. Shots fired.
It's hilarious. All of this is so hilarious. He looks so unhinged. He looks like he's freaking out because he is freaking out, okay? So I'm gonna read you more from that statement. So he says this, Ron came to me in desperate shape in 2017. He was politically dead, losing in a landslide to a very good agriculture commissioner, Adam Putnam. Yes, everyone was talking about Adam Putnam, who was loaded up with cash and great poll numbers. Ron had low approval, bad polls, and no money. But he said that if I would endorse him, he could win. I didn't know Adam, so I said, let's give it a shot, Ron. When I endorsed him, it was as though, to use a bad term, a nuclear weapon went off. Years later, they were the exact words Adam Putnam used in describing Ron's endorsement. He said, quote, I went from having it made with no competition to immediately getting absolutely clobbered after your endorsement. I then got Ron by the star of the Democrat Party, Andrew Gillum, who was later revealed to be a crackhead, he wrote that. By having 2 massive rallies with tens of thousands of people at each one, I also fixed his campaign. So he goes on and on about how like, I made Ron DeSantis, I'm the best, Ron sucks. Like that's what he's implying there, right? Then he says, and now Ron DeSanctimonious is playing games. The fake news asks him if he's going to run if President Trump runs, and he says, I'm only focused on the governor's race. I'm not looking into the future. Well, in terms of loyalty and class, that's really not the right answer. This is just like 2015 and 2016, a media assault, collusion, when Fox News fought me to the end until I won, and then they couldn't have been nicer or more supportive.
Well, that part is true.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, they did support more establishment Republicans, and then once Trump won, they did become his bitch. So let's be honest about that.
1000%.
Okay, and remember all these guys that are attacking him now, and by the way, now they're all coming out of the woodworks. You turn on cable news, it doesn't matter which channel. In fact, you'll see it more on Fox News than the other channels. There's Republicans going, Trump sucks, Trump cost us the election, we gotta get rid of Trump, it's time for new things. Well, what happened, tough guys? Where were you just a week ago? Where were you 6 months ago? Where were you 2 years ago? So all this time they were like, oh, Trump's the best, right? And now they're like, oh yeah, I never liked Trump. Oh really? You frauds, every one of you is a fraud. Okay, so there's no winners here, but I love that we told you earlier in the show, they're gonna start ripping each other apart. And while we're live, news breaks about how they're ripping each other apart.
And he's a loose cannon. Trump is a loose cannon. Okay, so I mean, we're probably not going to do every breaking news story about Trump's unhinged statements about Ron DeSantis. But this is just the beginning. I mean, if this continues, if you have more right-wing pundits, more right-wing media, more right-wing op-eds, basically calling for Trump to sit down because his time is up, Trump's gonna lose it, and he's gonna become more and more unhinged. It's amazing.
This is gonna be the bloodiest, metaphorically bloodiest fight you've ever seen in our lifetimes in American politics. Okay. By the way, it's 99% metaphorical, but what if Trump starts to get? You know how he has his goons and he sends them against Democrats. What if he starts sending them against Republicans?
I mean, he has sent them against one major Republican.
Hang Mike Pence, and I thought, as I saw this statement against Ron DeSantis, I was like, is he gonna get his guys to start chanting, hang Ron DeSantis? Okay, I hope not, not. Obviously, we hate that. And I can't stand Mike Pence, but he did the right thing that day, and he did it with courage. I mean, he stayed in the Senate and would not leave, and you do have to give him credit for that. So we hate the violence. We don't want any of that from our side, from their side, etc. But I'm worried about Trump because he's losing it in this. I'm not worried about him. I'm worried about what he's going to do. So one more thing.
But don't worry, Cenk. He's not angry. Remember that.
Yeah, exactly where I was going. So earlier today, he's put out like 17 statements today. Earlier today, he was like, "I'm not at all angry," like in all caps, "not angry." Okay, not the right way to show it if you're not angry, right? I mean, it was just. Every part of it was like foaming at the mouth. But I want to read you the very last line of the foaming at the mouth statement. He said, "Remember, I am a stable genius."
Did he really say that?
So swear to God, direct quote, direct quote. Now, you know, you've heard him say that he's a very stable genius before, but he would like, and he's never joking. We've shown you the clips. He's not at all joking, okay? He's like, "Now remember, I'm a very stable genius." But this time when you write it and we can't see how goofy you are as a human being, and you're writing it at the end of an angry rant, it becomes clearer. Like the guy has literal mental problems. If somebody in your life came up to you and said, "Anna, remember, I'm a stable genius," you'd be like, "Yeah, okay." I would get run out of the room. And I would call for help, right? It's not for me, for that person, because they're clearly mentally unbalanced. And that's who this guy is.
I wonder if Mar-a-Lago gets any type of state tax breaks.
Ooh.
I don't know if Ron DeSantis would ever have the guts to do to Mar-a-Lago what he did to like Disney. I don't even know if Mar-a-Lago gets like some of the goodies that Disney did back in the day.
No, he won't do any of that.
Yeah.
Because DeSantis so far has, you know,
he's kept his powder dry.
Yeah, no, it's a different saying, and it's usually an unfortunate one. But the saying about if you give him enough rope, he'll hang himself.
Yes.
And DeSantis the whole time has just been giving him rope, giving him rope.
No, but that's the thing. So what DeSantis lacks in the charisma that Trump has, he makes up for in just being a little smarter.
Yeah, he's clearly, I mean, first of all, being smarter than Trump is like the lowest bar in human history.
It is.
If you're conscious, you're smarter than Trump. I'm not kidding. The guy passed the dementia test and thought he was a genius, okay? And so, guys, again, I know MAGA, your brain is shut off and you will refuse to listen to any facts. But aren't you freaked out by a guy who says, "Remember, I'm a stable genius"?
They're not.
That doesn't sound like a lunatic to you?
Jake, they're not. Why are you trying to persuade them? They're not. You're not going to persuade them. Like, stop addressing them. It's over. Like, they're
those guys,
in the cult. It's over. It's over.
I know, but Anna, now that cult, and that gets to the final point here. So we can't. You're right. We can't break through that cult. When the cult sees him writing, he's a stable genius. They're like, "What do you mean? He just wrote it. He's a stable genius, so it must
obviously
be true,
yeah.
Right?" But when other Republicans attack him, can they break into the cult? And that's the number one question, and that's the question that will be answered in this Republican primary. And so it's going to be the MAGA cult versus the rest of the Republicans, and that's going to be a hell of a fight. And that fight just started.
I'm a very stable genius.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.